In the beginning, there was nothing, neither sand, nor sea, nor cool waves. Neither the heaven existed nor earth. Instead, long before the earth was made, there was only a great yawning abyss present in the void of nothingness called Ginnungagap. Out of the abyss, a land of eternal mist, darkness, and terrible cold was formed to the north, known as Niflheim. In the midst of the dark land surged a fountain, which gave rise to 12 rivers that spread throughout the void. To the south lay the land of fire, Muspelheim, an infernal region of unbearable, insatiable heat and flames. This is the place where the fire giant Suthir lives along with other fire demons and giants. Frost from Niflheim and the billowing flames from Muspelheim crept towards each other until they met in Ginnungagap. Amid the hissing and sputtering, the fire melted the ice, and the drops formed themselves into Ymir, the progenitor, the father of all the frost giants. Ymir was a hermaphrodite and could reproduce asexually. On the night of his creation, Ymir fell asleep near the lands of the south and became completely bathed in sweat. From under his left arm were born man and woman, both giants like him. At the same time, the block of ice from which he was born gave forth the great cow Ombla, the wet nurse of the giants. Ymir refreshed himself from the udders of Ombla at the beginning of every day, which flowed with life-giving milk. The giant cow Ombla also needed sustenance, so she licked the ice to quench her thirst, and as she licked, a man's head began to emerge. By the end of the third day of her licking, the whole man had emerged, and his name was Buri, the first of the Aesir gods. Intrigued, the giants allowed Buri to live. Buri grew wise and strong and took a frost giantess as his wife. Buri had a son whose name was Bor, who went on to marry Ymir's daughter, Bestla. The god Bor and the giantess Bestla created 3 sons together, Odin, Vil, and Ve. The half-god, half-giant child of Bor, Odin, became the chief of the Aesir gods, as he was the most powerful god, not only physically but intellectually as well. Odin and his 2 brothers were bothered by the fact that the giants outnumbered the Aesir, and they were constantly conceiving new giants. The only solution they could see was to kill Ymir, and the 3 brothers waited until Ymir was asleep before they assaulted him. The 3 sons at once began to rebel against the creators, which ended in the annihilation of the giants. They first killed the aged Ymir. As Ymir died, the 3 brothers placed his body into the void between the worlds of ice and fire, and his blood poured out, creating a huge flood which drowned the giants Ymir had created, except for 2, Bergelmir and his wife. These 2 giants built a ship and rode the waves of blood to another land far away from the wars of Odin, Vil, and Ve. They waited in this faraway land to seek their revenge upon the brothers, and it is from them that a new race of giants started. When Ymir died, Bor's sons dragged Ymir's immense body to the center of Ginnungagap, and from him they made the earth. Ymir's blood became the sea, his bones became the rocks, and his hair became the trees. Bor's sons took Ymir's skull and with it made the sky. They threw Ymir's brains into the sky and made the clouds. While Odin and his brothers were in the process of creating a new world from the body parts of the giant Ymir, worms kept crawling out of the rotting remains. The gods changed all of the worms into dwarfs, giving them human form. Because the dwarfs were formed from the flesh of Ymir, the gods decided that they shall continue to live as they had since their birth, hidden from the light of the sun, in the flesh of their creator. Soon the light of the sun became deadly to them, turning them into stone at the slightest exposure. Because the 3 brothers, Odin, Vil, and Ve, were afraid that the sky would fall down, they told 4 of the dwarfs to hold up the sky. They were sent out in each direction of the world. The names of these 4 dwarfs are Nordi for north, Vestri for west, Sundri for south, and Ostri for east. The dwarves became experts in craftsmanship and created some of the most powerful and magical weapons like Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. The blood of Ymir created an infinite circular sea that marked the outer boundary of this new world, encircled with a great serpent. Beyond, lay a wasteland inhabited by the two surviving giants and their children, as they waited for their chance to avenge Ymir's death. This land was called Jotunheim, home of the giants. To protect themselves, the gods created a defensive wall in the middle of this new world to keep the giants at bay from revolt. This land was called Midgard, the middle world, soon to be the world of men. Soon other gods came to join Odin, Vil and Ve. Odin, needing a home for the gods, created Asgard, a beautiful city where Odin ruled. He took the stunning Frigg as his wife, and she bore him his children, including the famous Thor, god of thunder. Odin thus became known as the All-Father, father of both gods and mankind. This land was created above Midgard, so that the gods could keep watch over the world they were creating. To get back and forth between Midgard and Asgard, they created the Great Rainbow Bridge known as Bifrost, which was guarded by Heimdall, the god of Bifrost. The land of Niflheim became the land where the dead would go after their time on earth had elapsed. The goddess Hel became the ruler of this domain, and her faithful hound Garm guarded the entrance to prevent the dead from ever leaving and the living from entering. Out of the chaos of the abyss rose the three Norse goddesses of fate. Their names were Urd, past, Verdandi, present, and Skuld, future. Together, the three Norns cared for the life tree, Yggdrasil, until the day of Ragnarok, when it is destined to die. Rest, peace, and order resided in Midgard, with warmth, green plants, and life. Craving more life, Odin and his brothers took two trees and shaped them into the image of the gods. Odin gave the beings breath and life, Vil gave them intelligence and feeling, and Ve gave them speech, hearing, and sight. With these gifts of inspiration into their souls, the gods created man, Ask and Embla. The first two people were given a home in the visible world of Midgard to live out their lives in a world of men and worship the gods and populate the earth. In Jotunheim, a giant had a daughter named Night, who had a daughter named Day. Odin took Night and Day and had them ride a chariot around the worlds in the heavens. On earth, a boy Mani, moon, and a girl named Sol, sun, were taken to pilot the chariots. The siblings ran across the heavens in haste each day as they are pursued by the wolves, Skoll and Hati, who were eternally in pursuit to devour them. All in all, 9 worlds were created to hold all the beings of the universe. All of these worlds are held up and connected by the great ash tree, Yggdrasil. Odin wanted to know everything and gain wisdom and knowledge of the things hidden from him. This was a desire that drove him to sacrifice himself. Odin was a wanderer, a seeker of knowledge. He traveled far and wide, away from Asgard, to seek wisdom and honor. On his quest, Odin went to the Well of Wisdom, and to prove himself, he sacrificed his own eye and dropped it into the well, and thus was given wisdom. The Norns, who carved runes into the tree of Yggdrasil to seal destiny, were skeptical of Odin. To dedicate himself, Odin hung himself from a tree and impaled himself on his own spear, going without food or water for 9 days straight. He suffered until the runes appeared to him, and with his ability to read the runes, he could heal and shield his allies and destroy his enemies and know everything that happened on earth. It was prophesied that one day the Norns would announce the initiation of Ragnarok, the cataclysmic destruction of the cosmos that will drown the world and destroy many of the great gods. It will start with a great winter, with darkness and unprecedented cold that will last 3 years. Mankind will be desperate for food and life, and the morals of man will fall away, leaving nothing but war, death, and chaos. The wolves, Skoll and Hati, will succeed in hunting down the sun and the moon, taking all the light from the world. Yggdrasil will tremble and fall, and the great wolf Fenrir, son of the trickster Loki, will run free. He will open his jaws and run across the world with his lower jaw on the ground and his upper jaw in the sky, devouring everything in his path. His brother, the grey serpent Jormungand, will leave the waters surrounding Midgard and is fated to destroy Thor and himself in the process. From this battle, the world will resurface anew to be repopulated from 2 humans and the surviving gods. Odin was determined to live through Ragnarok and used all his power and might to prepare himself for the imminent war. Odin sent his Valkyries, divine maiden warriors, to every human battle to decide who will be victorious and who will die. They then selected the most heroic of the slain and took them to Valhalla, the Great Hall in Asgard. Odin sits in the hall with his ravens, who fly off into the world every day at sunrise to gather information and return for the feast each day with the heroes of the dead, whispering their secrets into Odin's ear. The heroes in Valhalla will spend their eternal days in friendly fighting matches, staying strong, drinking and eating together in order to prepare for the final days of Ragnarok.